Anybody had any weird and wonderful issues this week?
Yeah, I've had a weird one. I wouldn't say it was wonderful. I had a form to build just in RS Form Pro, which was, handling most things fine, and it's still fine, but it has it's a medical form or a health professional's form where they're referring someone for a consultation, but the form can also be filled out by someone themselves, so a self-referral.
Right.
And so I built the form, and it's got a good, 30 odd questions or so, and they've turned around and said, "Oh, can the labels on the questions change for they and you depending on if you've selected self-referral or not?" And as I say, it's about 20 or 30 questions all about the person who's being referred to this service. And at first I was like, yeah, that's going to require duplication of the fields for all of the self-referred versus the 7 or 8 health professionals who can make the referral. But then I worked out that I could use the free text field in RS Form Pro to basically create fake labels for the questions and then use CSS to hide the labels of the questions. But yeah, I was still like, oh, really?
That's really not easy.
No, it's not easy. It's doable. It took me 24 hours and a night's sleep to actually think about it and work out the solution.
Yeah.
I was like, no, it's a pain in the ass, but it can be done. I haven't done it yet. I've just worked out.
We did a big online order form with RS Form recently. Eventually, with a lot of Stuart coding, we got it working. But boy, it was a challenge, wasn't it, Stuart?
Yeah, it wasn't quite as described in the instructions.
What instructions? It's RS Forms.
You can do a lot with the PHP script processing and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's still pretty much coding, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's come a long way from when I stopped using it a few years ago. Certainly, slightly easier, but its functionality is just easier. We were using the Balboa form for a long time, but they redesigned it and it's just so hard to use.
Which one?
The Balboa one. It's very beautiful on the front end, but the back end admin where you change everything is just so tiny and minuscule. It sort of doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was lucky RS Form has that conditional fields thing kind of baked in, at least made it doable. So Terry, this is the RS Form brief I've been dealing with while you've been dealing with AC mailing groups.
Yeah. Well, if we hadn't got Stuart to take care of some serious PHP in RS Form, the whole multi-purchase form just really, it didn't really work.
Yeah.
As noted.
Wasn't as straightforward as they would have you make out on the instructions. So
No.
Is it multi-purchase in terms of products or
products?
A menu order list. So, we needed the client to be able, or customer to be able to purchase multiple meals and variables of numbers too. So, they might want two portions of a particular laksa versus one portion of another curry. So
is this kind of like a delivery service or something? Or
yeah, it's she does ready-made vegetarian meals, and she didn't have the budget to go e-commerce. So we thought it was a good idea at the time.
Right. I was going to say, is RS form really the best solution?
Well, we also thought she only had about 5 or 6 products, but then she got all excited and increased it to, about 15 or 16. So it became quite
yeah.
I'll just
quite
show
an
it.
ordeal.
I'll show it, Britt.
Yeah,
We can show it because it actually looks quite good.
it looks good. There's just a handover with PayPal that the email from PayPal doesn't actually put the right content into the email that they send. So we've just got a little bit more work to go on it, but yeah. I must admit, it was one of those, we went down the rabbit hole and it was like, oh my goodness. I should have just put in an e-commerce for her. It would have been cheaper and quicker. Yeah.
Just share the thing.
Because I investigated all the, all the PayPal button type solutions, but they don't allow multiple products, and that was what the conundrum was. Because originally I quoted on 4 PayPal buttons.
Right.
You can see it looks quite good.
A bit of scope creep.
Yeah, and obviously not passed on, which was the killer.
So it actually looks not bad for an RS form.
Great, man. Nice with the images. That's good work.
Yeah. No, it's a very beautiful site. And it's J4 too, which is really...
So have you hand-coded the template then, Stuart?
Have I what?
Hand-coded the template?
No, I had to do a bit of smart, because what it was doing was basically putting
the label in instead of the variables, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it would put everything in. You'd end up with this order which was complete garbage. But by modifying the item details and being very specific about certain things and putting an if statement in, it actually displays the order now. If you don't choose a quantity, if quantity is 0, it doesn't display that line, where before it was displaying, by default, it displays every item, whether you choose it or not. So yeah, it ended up being a really ugly email and form, and what it sent through to PayPal was equally as garbage, and we've just sort of got a little bit of that to tidy up. But the site itself, in terms of a simple process, again, you go, this works or should work quite simply according to the instructions. It'll take, a couple of hours to knock the order form together, and then a bit of fancy graphics to make it look good. But functionally, it should have done what we wanted within about 2 hours. But
Yeah.
2 hours. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
we just didn't say which 2 hours.
Yeah. And so it basically totals everything at the bottom, and then it's a really simple little process, from the user experience. They just, there's their total and they just pay now, So
Pay now, the way it goes.
And then they receive a lovely email that, informs them that everything's gone through, and then PayPal sends them a garbage email that says the value they've paid, like the $80, but it hasn't told them what they brought, which again doesn't make a lot of sense. But Stuart has the intel to get that working. Yeah. But otherwise, if anybody needs something like this now, we've definitely done the proof of concept and the the hemorrhaging for you all.
But in terms of a simple one page order form. It actually works pretty well, apart from these side issues that we've had along the way to get there.
My feeling is that if a client has this many products, then they really should be going into, even if it's a budget e-commerce, I feel that this was too big an inventory to be doing a form, because you're scrolling so much. You know, the whole experience is not brilliant. But had she just had, you know, a handful of products with lots of variations and multiples to purchase, I think it's a really great solution. I mean, she's okay at where she is, but I think if she was to grow her inventory more, which knowing her she possibly could, you know, she's got a really, the form becomes very, very complex to manage, because even the drag and drop function in RS forms is not as fabulous as it could be, you know. So reordering the form and everything was like a, you know, I took about 3 coffees before I started on each edit.
As I discovered with this form I've been building, it's got about, I think it's about 40 questions now, and it's a one-pager. So using the drag and drop to reorder forms in RS forms is, you know, you've got to scroll on your wheel, or, you know.
And if you add a field, it goes to the bottom, and then you've got to drag it all the way to where you wanted it. So it is quite a challenge on the user interface still. But
you got to scroll and drag at the same time.
Yes, yeah. You get your head around it after a bit of practice, but yes, not for the faint-hearted. Yeah.
I got a question on that form. Did the picture and the description of the meal, is that actually a part of RS forms, or?
Yeah. The images were all thumbnails in the image directory, so you're going and finding, you know, image organized images, but yeah, it's all edited on the fly in there, and you do your links. So I did link back to each of the full page articles for each meal as well.
Okay, so in the RS form, where you really just sort of say here's your label and whatever, and it generates the label and the entry field, I can't think how you've actually done the picture and the description bit next to it.
Oh, it's a column layout in RS forms, so you can see. Stuart, do you have the login there?
No, I don't, but if you wanted to log in, I'll share.
Or I'll just.
I was just curious. I hadn't seen it done like that before.
I'm intrigued as well.
Well, wasn't it?
I know you can go into the template part in RS form and disable the auto generation, and you can essentially build any layout you want.
This is auto generated. No, it's actually, yeah, it's not.
So yeah, I would have thought this would have to be, you know, disabled.
I'm just about to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool.
So
Components, I think. Yeah. RS form.
order meals. Right, are you ready?
Yep.
Excited.
So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have seen the split row thing. I've just never thought of using it.
yeah. And then so a little bit of
So that's the trick. So here's
the naming was important of the labels.
But so the product image, where's that all the products coming from?
The first one, yeah, that one, the image, that should just be a
Oh, so you've got separate rows for each one. Yeah, okay.
yeah, it was.
Yep, that makes sense.
So, and then that's hyperlinked. Oh no, that one's not hyperlinked. I think the text is linked, but
and the description. So if I just pull the screen back across, hang on. just so we can see what it looks like.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
so basically that
Just mirrors that little
that there. So that's the little title.
links to the article itself.
That's the
Yeah.
product image. Here.
And it works responsively quite well as well. Like it's actually quite good.
Trick with the items
Yeah.
is this is how it has to be exactly with no space.
No space.
No space. If you put a space in there, it does not work.
No.
I've got a form that's similar where you can order body corporate certificates and you can order multiples of them, but the price changes as you order more of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this was just a
Yeah, but the trick, you know, when you're typing these things in, you look at it and you go, oh yeah, that could make it, or just put a bit of space between the
put a
tween.
space so I can read it. Yeah.
A bit more readable. That breaks everything. Doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
And then the
And
other.
then the email configuration was the go to the other tab, properties, and then to the user email and edit email text in there. That was the trickery at the bottom. I think it's towards the bottom, Stuart. Yeah. Under the bottom, I think. Yeah. So that was massive to come up with all of that variation.
So basically it says if the value does not equal that exactly, then display it.
How many nuts of curry do you really want? Yeah.
Don't you love how there's no else if syntax in their email templates as well?
No, nothing. And the syntax for what it sends to PayPal is different again.
Yes, because that would be in the post form processing. Is it?
Yeah.
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 And so that's that's the next step, because the process is quite amazing, really, considering, although it should be for the time we put in. But yeah, the email from PayPal was just like, what? Doesn't make any sense.
So yeah, there was a bit of heartache in this one for sure.
Yes, so should you go down this path, you know who to call.
But it's
why didn't your client want to use e-commerce applications or something?
originally they had this many products.
We thought she had half a dozen at best. And yeah, it just grew and grew and grew. Like the whole site. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
She loves it and it's working, but yeah, it was just a lot more involved. I think the learnings from it are, look, we had to take it through to the bitter end because we'd gone down so far, but I guess it is an option for a smaller inventory of variables and options if somebody is saying, look, a PayPal button won't work, but I don't have the money for a full e-commerce. Do you have anything in between?
Yeah, and one of the downsides was that we'd already committed to going Joomla 4 and build all the templates, hadn't you, Britt?
Yes.
And J2 Store wasn't an option as a
It's
fallback.
not ready. Yeah.
As a fallback, we would have ordinarily just gone, you know what, this is all too complicated, just install J2
We'll just install it.
We could have done it in no time flat, but Unfortunately, it's not 4.x ready yet, so we had either to rewrite the site in 3.9 or 3.10, or fix the form, which we were 90% of the way there. So
Okay.
you sort of get into this rabbit hole, and it's which way do you go?
But I think, the staying with version 4 has far outweighed, because her speed and, I guess her, she's not going to have to upgrade for some time and those sorts of things. And if she gets to a point where she is ready for e-commerce, then we hope J2 will be ready. Yeah. But yes, lessons and learnings of a Joomla designer and developer. Sometimes we have to share the hard stories, because, it might stop you going down a path, or at least trying to do it solo, and realize that maybe someone else has had your pain, and that's why you reach out.
So the components for J4 aren't ready. If they were, how much money would she be looking at to go down that path?
The e-commerce.
Yeah.
Well, it really depends, because I always say to clients, if you are happy to have something out of the box and you don't need it to be, templated and changed. And J2, unfortunately, it's okay out of the box, but it's usually requiring quite a bit of override work and CSS. Maybe their Joomla 4 ready one will make it easier, because even the most basic e-commerce, they never want that. They want all the wish lists. They want all the extra extensions and plugins and the vouchers and everything else. And by the time you template all that and integrate it into their design, I think you're kind of at that price point. If she upgrades, then again, it will depend. The beauty of the way we've done it is that she's already got the articles created. So she's already J2 ready. The fact that she's already got all the setup in her pages, and all we would be doing is converting those to J2 articles, that could be a lot quicker. I haven't done it yet.
And I'm bracing myself for a bit of embarrassment here. What's J2?
Oh.
So J2 Store is one of the handful of shopping carts that are available, and it's a nice sort of module component rather, which I prefer because it has a lot of functionality, but it's based on articles. So basically you can turn any article into a J2 Store item simply by clicking a button, and away you go. It has, uses all the article categories and all of that stuff sort of natively. It does have some quirks and a couple of things that it doesn't do, like multi-currency. It doesn't do, you can't have pricing in various currencies and stuff like that. But for most purposes, it's fit for purpose.
Yeah.
We've got, I'm just trying to think, we've got Yanella Farms has got it, but I don't think anything's active at the moment.
Oh, I had a look at that the other day with Carly.
I think everything's out of stock. No fruit growing at the moment, although custard apples are back in.
I did that setup the other day for that camping ground site, Stuart, pretty quick, which was good.
Yeah.
And how did you find the templates, like the J2 Store templates?
I haven't. I'm doing a custom template for this client, so I've just started building on Protostar, whatever it's called, while I'm just getting all the functionality, and then I haven't looked into the templates yet, so I guess
it's just because they're really currently they've got Bootstrap 2 and Bootstrap 3.
Oh, I
So
did notice that. Yeah.
they're just really dated. So it's like your brain's got to go back legacy wise in styling, and it just that
Okay.
itself is a bit tricky.
I do a bit of that with Joomla anyway, just because all my custom stuff's done on Bootstrap 4 and 5. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty across jumping between Bootstrap 2 and Bootstrap 4.
And now we probably, it depends on how many products, and it depends on how much customization they want in every view. Some customers want the whole profile area to be fully customized. Some want, a completely different layout. But now we've got a good set of overrides, so we can pretty much use those, certainly on version 3, Joomla 3, but Joomla 4 we haven't even investigated yet.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
No, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Stuart, I can do a demo of that fabric site I'm building if anyone wants to look more into forms, but
Yeah.
I can't do it with a recording.
Yeah, we should have turned that on.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, they want to keep it fairly.
On the wraps, that's fine. We can-
They're in a competitive industry, so not that anyone's going to be looking up Joomla meetups.
No, that's no problem.
For insider knowledge.
So we can just pause the recording. That's no problem, and then come back after.
Only if you want to.
I think it'd be interesting
If you guys, it's
Yeah.
getting too late. It's up to you.
How are we for time? 6:20. We've got
Well, it's
plenty.
early for us.
Yes,
What about other states?
it's freezing down here, so look, go for it. I'm not going into that.
I can stay on until my kids come and
People in singlets.
crack it
and what
again.
stereo.
Okay, so I'll just pause the recording when you're ready, Carly.
Well, I haven't prepared a presentation, but I can just give you a quick jump in of what I've been doing.
So,
You want me to share my